श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मा व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य न कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामम् श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं शरश्च महताह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् लोकगुरुं गुरुभिः सह पूर्वैः पूरकुलोत्तमदासमुदारम् श्रीनगपत्यभिरामवरेशौ दीप्रशयानगुरुञ्च भजेऽहम् लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्ट जीवजीवातवे नमः। लोकाचार्यकृपापात्रं कौण्डिन्यकुलभूषणं समस्तात्मगुणावासं वन्दे कूरकुलोत्तमम्। नमः श्रीशैलनाथाय कुन्तीनकरजन्मने प्रसादलब्धपरमप्राप्य कैङ्कर्यशालिने लोकाचार्यपदाम्भोज राजहंसायितान्तरम् ज्ञानवैराग्यजलधिं वन्दे सौम्यवरं गुरुं श्रीजिह्वावधीशदासम् अमलम् अशेषशास्त्रविधं सुन्दरवरगुरु करुणाकन्दलित ज्ञानमन्दिरं कलये पुरुषकारवैभवञ्च साधनस्य गौरवं तदधिकारिकृत्यम् अस्य सद्गुरूपसेवनं हरिदयामहैतुकीं गुरोरुपायतां च यो वचनभूषणे वदज्जगद्गुरुं तमाश्रये। साङ्गकिल द्रविडसंस्कृतरूपवेदसारार्थ संग्रह महारसवाक्यजातं सर्वज्ञलोकगुरुनिर्मितम् आर्यभोग्यं वन्दे सदा वचनभूषणदिव्यशास्त्रम् अकण्ठोत्कण्ठवैकुण्ठप्रियाणां कण्ठभूषणां गुरुणा जगतामुक्तं व्याप्तं வசனபூஷணம் பேரு தருவிக்கும் அவள் தன் பெருமை ஆறு பெறுவான் முறை அவன் கூறு குருவைப் பனுவல் கொள்வதிலையாகிய குளிர்ந்தவருள் தான் மாறில் புகழ் நற்குருவின் வன்மையோடெல்லாம் வசனபூடணமதில் தேரிட நமக்கருள் முடும்ப இரவன் கழல்கள் சேரன் மனனே திருமாமகள் தன் சீரருளேத்தமும் திருமால் திருவடி சேர்வழி நன்மையும் அவ்வழியொழிந்தனவனைத்தின் புன்மையும் மெய்வழி ஊன்னியமிக்கோர் பெருமையும் ஆரணம் வல்லவர் அமரு நன்னெறியையும் நாரணன் தாழ் தரு நற்குரு நீதியும் சோதிவானருள் தூயமா குருவின் பாதமாமலர் பணிபவர் தன்மையும் தீதில் வானவர் தேவன் உயிர்களை ஏது விண்ணி எடுக்கும் படியையும் மன்னிய இன்பமும் ஆகதியும் குரு என்ன நிலை பெறும் இன்பொருள் தன்னையும் அசவிலா வேதம் அதனுள் அனைத்தையும் வசனபூடணம் வழியால் அருளியா மறையவர் சிகாமணி வண்டுகள் முடும்பை இறையவனெங்கோன் ஏர் உலகாரியன் தேன்மலர்ச்சேவடி சிந்த செய்பவர் மாநிலத்தின்பம் எய்தி வாழ்பவரே லோகாச்சார்ய கிருதே லோகஹிதே வசனபூஷணே தத்வார்த்ததர்ஷினோ லோகே तन्निष्ठाश्च सुदुर्लभाः जगताचार्यरचिते श्रीमद्वचनभूषणे तत्त्वज्ञानञ्च तन्निष्ठां देहि नाथ यतीन्द्रमे.
Asmadgurubhyo Namaha, Asmadparamagurubhyo Namaha, Asmadsarvagurubhyo Namaha. So now we're going to start part 3 of Sri Vachanabhushanam. We're starting with Sutra number 6, or some people call it Sutra number 7, because this, you can either divide the Sutra 6 into 2 or Sutra 5 into 2.
ஆழ்வார் திருவடிகளே சரணம், எம்பெருமானார் திருவடிகளே சரணம், பிள்ளை லோகாச்சாரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். ஸ்ரீவச்சனபூஷணம் 6th சூத்திரம். இவை இரண்டாலும் புருஷகார வைபவமும் உபாய வைபவமும் சொல்லித்தாய்த்து. In the 5th சூத்திரம், we saw that Pillai Lokacharya talks about two things. In Sri Ramayana, the greatness of the person who went to prison is said. And in Mahabharata, the greatness of the person who went as a messenger is said. Here, in this sutra, he says, by each one of those, one concept is being said. By Sirairandavaletram, Purushakara Vaibhavam is told. The greatness of the one who went to prison, while that concept, referring to that concept, is explaining Purushakaratvam to us. Purushakaratvam means quality of being mediator. By Tuduponavanetram, by the greatness of the messenger, Upaya Vaibhavam is said. The greatness of the means is said. Of course, for us, the means to liberation, the means to Lord Sriman Narayana is Lord Sriman Narayana himself. And by Tuduponavanetram, by the greatness of the messenger, the greatness of his quality of being a means is told. That is what this sutram means. இவை இரண்டாலும் புருஷகார வைபவமும் உபாய வைபவமும் சொல்லித்தாய்த்து. Through these two, the greatness of and qualities of being a mediator and the greatness of being the path is explained or is told. Now let us see in detail what Manavala Mamunigal tells us in his beautiful commentary. What is Purushakara Vaibhavam, or what is the greatness of this mediation? Let us see. See, for all of us, for all the conscious beings, or the Chetanas, the technical Sanskrit word for that, Mahalakshmi is the Akhila Jagan Mata. She is the mother of everything in the universe. She also is the refuge for everybody in the universe. She is the Ashrayaniya for everyone. And as we saw in the previous sutra, she has infinite amount of compassion for everyone. Because of these qualities, there doesn't need to be any mediation between us and her when we surrender to her. And when we take her help in order to reach Lord Sriman Narayana, she has this wonderful quality of being able to mediate with Lord Sriman Narayana on our behalf, and she enables the compassion of Lord Sriman Narayana to outshine his quality of wanting to punish the sinners. Chipami, Nakshamami, these are things that Lord has said. I will punish, I will not forgive. Lakshmi, she mediates on our behalf so that compassion of the Lord overpowers this quality of giving the fruits of the sins to the people who have sinned. Purushakara Vaibhavam is this greatness, is explaining this greatness, explaining this wonderful quality. So what is Upaya Vaibhavam? Upaya Vaibhavam is the greatness of the Lord himself as the means to attain him. We saw in the previous sutra that for his devotees, the Lord goes to great lengths. He does everything for them. He even went as a messenger. We saw that, right? Here in this sutra, Manavala Mamunigal wonderfully brings out a quote from the Nalayira Divya Prabandham, from the Alvar Aruli Chayal, that explains this in an even more beautiful way. In Periyalvar Tirumozhi, Periyalvar says in one of the pasurams, Tannadiyar Tirattagattu Thamarayalahilum Sidhauraikkumel என்னடியார் அது செய்யார் செய்தாரேல் நன்னு செய்தார் என்பர் போலும். Very beautifully Pediyalvar says this. So he says, when Mahalakshmi, just for argument purposes or for playing purposes, Tamarayal Ahilum, even if Mahalakshmi, just for some playing purposes, she complains to Lord Sriman Narayana about his devotees. When the Lord is going to save them, she says, no, this person has committed this much of sin, he did that, she did this. Like that if she complains. Once we surrender to Lord Sriman Narayana, he takes our position. He says, Ennadiyar adu seyyar, my devotees, people who have surrendered to me won't do such things. He confronts Sri and says that no, they won't do this. And then Sri gives some more proof saying, no, see here's the evidence, they did this, they did that. And then the Lord says, Seidarel nannu seidar. Yes, they did that. Even if they did that, that is good only because I like the mischief that they did. That is the great quality of being the means. Once he accepts somebody, he firmly stands behind them, no matter, even if, this is theoretical of course, even if hypothetically Lakshmi complains that this person did this or this person did that. That is the greatness of the Upaya Vaibhavam, and that is what being told to us in Tudu Ponavanetram, in the person who went as messenger for his devotees. Manavada Mamunigal says that Pillai is explaining this because he wants us to understand that the quality of being the mediator that Mahalakshmi has and the quality of being the means that Lord Sriman Narayana has, it is asadharanam. It means it is only present in them. Only Lakshmi has this Purushakaratvam and only Lord Sriman Narayana has this Upayatvam. That is why he emphasizes this. In Pancharatra Agama, in Pancharatra, which is basically a work that was given by Lord Sriman Narayana himself to Mahalakshmi over 5 nights, that is why it is called Pancharatra, there are multiple places, multiple slokas where he clearly says this, where he clearly says that for people who are undergoing suffering in this endless samsara, who have fallen into this and they are suffering, Lakshmi is the mediator and they can come to me through her. That is my matam, that is my path. He says that. It's not just in one sloka, in multiple slokas he says that. We see that Lord Sriman Narayana always, we say that he's Shri Bhu Neela Sameta, right? Not only Mahalakshmi, but Bhudevi and Neela Devi is also there with him. So there are other consorts of Lord Sriman Narayana. And we also know that our acharyas also mediate on behalf of us to Lord Sriman Narayana. Then what is the difference in the mediation that Mahalakshmi, Sri, that she does and other people can do? Now here Manavala Mamunigal beautifully says, and he quotes Vadikesari Azhage Madavala Jiyar, who wrote a wonderful work called Deepa Sangraha. And he says that any quality of mediation that others have, whether it is Bhudevi or Neela Devi or the Nityasuris, Ananta, Garuda, Vishwaksena, or our acharyas have, it is based on the sambandham that they have with Shri only. It is not natural to them. For Shri, it is Swatasiddham. It is natural for her and it is established in her. For everyone else, the ability to mediate comes through the sambandham that they have with Shri, who is the mediator on behalf of all of us to Lord Sriman Narayana. Similarly, the quality, the greatness of being the means, the Upayatvam, in Mahabharatam it is said, Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam. So Krishna himself is the Dharma. He is the righteous path, it is said. So given that, right, it is natural that this Upayatvam, the means, is only for him and for nobody else. And then when we surrender to our Acharya in order to reach Lord Sriman Narayana, they are able to be the path for us because they are also surrendered to Lord Sriman Narayana and they are also devotees of Lord Sriman Narayana. And it is not independent to them. Hence, the quality of being the mediator, Purushakaratvam, and the quality of being the means, Upayatvam, it is not an exaggeration to say that these two are defining characteristics for Lakshmi, Mahalakshmi, and Lord Sriman Narayana. Now a question arises. We saw in the previous sutras that Pillai Lokacharya said that the Upabrahmanas, in this case the Itihasas, they give us the essence of the meanings that are present in the Vedic literature. Now we learnt about Purushakaratvam and Upayatvam. Now where is this present in the Vedas? It is the right question to ask, isn't it? There Manavala Mamunigal anticipates that question and he gives us the answer also. So the Dvaya Mantra that we all know, Sriman Narayana Charano Sharanam Prapadye, is the first part of the Dvaya Mantra. The Dvaya Mantra is present in the Kathavalli Upanishad. So in the first sentence of Dvaya Mantra, Sriman Narayana Charano Sharanam Prapadye, we can see both Purushakaratvam and Upayatvam. All the living beings, all the Chetanas, all the conscious beings have an inalienable relation with both Lord Sriman Narayana and Mahalakshmi. He is the universal father and she is the universal mother. Given that we have an inalienable relationship to our father, why should Shri be necessary? Why should this mediation by Mahalakshmi be necessary in order to surrender to him? That's a good question. If that question is asked, here is the explanation to that. Again, Manavala Mamuniyal asks the question and he responds to that, gives the answer to that question in the commentary. Mahalakshmi has the following qualities. She is the mother for everyone, and hence she has the natural motherly love towards every living being. Vatsalyam, right? Vatsalyam is the great love that a cow has towards its calf. As soon as it's born, we can see that. It even licks the fluid that the calf is covered in. Like that, great affection it has, that compassion it has. That is what Mahalakshmi has towards all of us. That is the Matrutva Prayuktamana Vatsalya Atirekam, it is said in the Vyakyanam. Another quality she has is her compassion is unaffected, it is pure. Lord Sriman Narayana of course has compassion, but he also has Katinyam. He has some hardness. Because he is the universal father, he has to discipline everyone. He has to make sure that people get punishment for the things that they do, isn't it? So that Katinyam is there, that hardness is there. But she doesn't have the hardness. Her compassion is pure. She does a lot of work to even convert Vimukhas to Abhimukhas. Vimukhas are people who turn their back and then go away from the right spiritual path and from Lord Sriman Narayana. She does a lot of work to try to make them into Abhimukhas, into people who want to come to the right path and people who want to come to Lord Sriman Narayana. Because of all these qualities, even people who have committed grave sins, without any worry, without being afraid, they can approach her so that she can be the mediator. Whereas Lord Sriman Narayana, he has this Katinyam, we saw, this hardness. He is like a father. A father, even though he is always worried about the well upbringing of the child, he has to discipline the child sometimes because he wants to do good to the child. So that disciplinary action is a hard action. He has to show some amount of hardness in order to discipline. That is natural for the father and hence that is natural for Lord Sriman Narayana also. And he also looks at the karmas that everybody does and he has to discipline and he has to provide punishments, the fruits in some sense of the karma that somebody does. Because of all these things, people who have committed sins will be very afraid to go in front of him and surrender. And because of this, we need to take Mahalakshmi's help in terms of mediation in order to reach Lord Sriman Narayana. And hence it is important for us to go to them together, Lord Sriman Narayana, not Narayana alone. This is the summary of this sutra, the 6th sutra. Now the 7th sutra, from this sutra onwards, Pillai Lokacharya expands on this Purushakara, on this mediation in many sutras, multiple sutras, because this is Purushakara Vaibhavam, the greatness of the Purushakara. So in the first sutra after this sutra, that is the 7th sutra, he talks about 3 great qualities that are present during the time of mediation in a mediator. புருஷகாரமாம்போது கிருபையும் பாரதந்திரியமும் அனன்யார்ஹத்துவமும் வேண்டும். For somebody to be a mediator, and while mediating, 3 qualities are essential. They are kripa, paratantriya and ananyarhatva. Now let us see what they are. Kripa is defined as paradukka asahishnutvam. It is a quality of not being able to bear the sorrows that others undergo and hence do something about it. Paratantriyam is the quality of being a Paratantra to Lord Sriman Narayana. This basically means that Shri or Mahalakshmi is completely dependent upon and completely beholden to Lord Sriman Narayana. Ananyarhatvam means not being beholden to anybody other than Lord Sriman Narayana. If we say that Shri is a Paratantra to Lord Sriman Narayana, the natural question is, okay, is she Paratantra to somebody else also might come? And this Ananyarhatvam negates that. That is, Shri is beholden only to Lord Sriman Narayana and nobody else. And these qualities are important because of the following reasons. In order for Shri to take the action of mediation, it is necessary for her to have this kripa for the living beings. The quality of her not being able to bear the sorrows is what prompts her into action, isn't it? To mediate on behalf of us to Lord Sriman Narayana. Similarly, in order to argue with somebody, in order to mediate with somebody and change their mind, if one is completely under their control or one is completely with them all the time, then it is easier. And that is why this Paratantriyam is important. And Ananyarhatvam is also important similarly, because the Lord knows that she is beholden to nobody but Him, and hence whatever she says is good for Him. It is only good for the duties that Lord Sriman Narayana has. Because of that, she is able to successfully mediate on our behalf. The greatness of the kripa or the compassion that Mahalakshmi has as compared to the compassion that Lord Sriman Narayana has can be seen in the following explanations. Lord Sriman Narayana is completely independent. Nirankusha Swatantra. There is nobody who can control him. He is completely independent. He is the one who has to punish as well as give blessings based on the karma that we do. And hence, his kripa, his compassion is sometimes overcome by the other qualities that he has, the complete independence he has. And hence, his compassion acts sometimes and it does not act sometimes. But Mahalakshmi is anugrahika shila. She is doing only blessings all the time. She wants to help us all the time. And because of this, and because her compassion has no other quality that can oppose it or that can overcome it, it is pure compassion, which is like a flood that is overflowing the boundaries of a river, overflowing the banks of the river. Just like the difference in the sambandha that we have the relationship that we have with Lord Sriman Narayana is a father-son relation. The relationship we have with Mahalakshmi is a mother-son relation, or a mother-daughter relation, or a father-daughter relation, we can say. Similar to that is the difference in the compassion that each one of them have. Paratantriyam and Ananyarhatvam that Mahalakshmi has towards Lord Sriman Narayana, it is of course natural to her, but it is also there because she is the consort, this is the wife of Lord Sriman Narayana. She is the mother and he is the father. It is said in the Vedic literature, in this case Purushuktam says that Hrishchate Lakshmi's Chapatnyau, it says that. Similarly Vishnu Patni, it is mentioned in multiple places where she is the wife of Lord Sriman Narayana. And she is also inseparable from him even for a microsecond. She is always there with him. That is said in multiple places. The Arulichayal, Arvar's Arulichayal says that in many places, and of course the Vedic literature also says in multiple places. Because of the qualities that we saw, and because of the fact that she is there with him all the time, there is no need for any mediation between her and Lord Sriman Narayana. She directly can discuss and mediate on our behalf with Lord Sriman Narayana. And hence, for us, Mithuna Seshatvam is important. We need to surrender to Sriman Narayana, not just Shri alone or Narayana alone, but together. Manavada Mamanigal further gives some grammatical information as to how these qualities, the Kripa, Paratantriya and the Ananyarhatva, can be derived from the different forms of the word Shri, that we will not go in detail given the time that we have. Today we saw two sutras. The sixth sutra, where Pullai says that two key concepts are being taught to us, which are Purushakara Vaibhavam and Upaya Vaibhavam. And Purushakara Vaibhava is taught to us via the Sirai Rindaval, via the greatness of the person who was in jail. And the Upaya Vaibhavam is taught to us through the greatness of the person who went as a messenger, the mediation, and the greatness of being the means. And we saw that he starts expanding on greatness of Purushakara, because this is the Purushakara Vaibhava section of Sri Vachana Bhushanam, where he talks about three necessary qualities that a person who is mediating should have at the time of mediation: Kripa, Paratantriya, and Ananyarhatva. We will see more details about this Purushakara Vaibhava tomorrow. Alvar Emberumanar Jiyar Tiruvadigalé Sharanam.
So, any questions or comments? We go on.
No, I was thinking,
Yeah,
Swami, about what is your opinion on this? Like, I know that you said that ultimately there are so many examples whereby prapati has happened without the direct presence of Shri. But as they're showing here that it's absolutely necessary that we must surrender to both Shri and Sriman Narayana. What comment you could make on that?
Well, the whole point he's making is that that Sriman Narayana is with Lakshmi all the time. Lakshmi is with him all the time. So we can't say that there's any actual property or moksha or whatever without her. She plays a role in all of them, in all of these properties. So if you could, we can see sometimes she's like in the sense of Vibhishana Sharanagati, that Sita was in Lanka, in the Ashokavana, in the forest, and Rama was in India, and Vibhishana went and did his Sharanagati, did his property to him. But still, she's there. She's inherently there. She's always with him. Now, there's a difference between the Tenacharya Sampradaya and the Deshika Sampradaya, the Vadagalais and Tengalais, as to exactly how she is there or in every place, right? And so the Deshika Sampradaya, the Vadagalais, they tend to say that she is always manifest in her Swarupa, her form, original form with the Supreme Lord everywhere. And therefore they count her as being just like another god or being as one half of God. Whereas the Tenacharya Sampradaya does not admit more than one God, does not admit a separate personality to two parts of God, admits that Lakshmi is not Ishvara, and if she's not Ishvara Vedantically, she has to be Chit. She has to be another conscious being. And she's a conscious being like us, except that she's much far greater than us. So then the question comes that there are Shastric statements in Vishnu Purana, in Lakshmi Tantra of Pancharatra that say that she's always with Sriman Narayana. How can a chit or a soul, Jivatman, however great, be everywhere at once, be all pervading? Because only the Supreme Lord is all pervading. So how can Lakshmi be with him? How can she be with him everywhere? So what the Tenacharya Sampradaya says is that she has guna vyapti. This Vyapaka, remember this Vyapaka mantras, the three mantras that we talked about that deal with the all-pervasive nature of God are called Vyapaka mantras. They are Astakshara, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Vishnave, the 6-syllable mantra, and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, the 12-syllable mantra. So Vasudeva, Vishnu, and Narayana, these are three Vyapaka names or names of God that deal with how God is everywhere at once. So how is it that Lakshmi can be everywhere at once like that? So remember that in Vishishta Vedanta, in Sri Vaishnavism, moksha is the state of moksha is explained that the living being has unlimited knowledge. So each living being is Sat Chit Ananda. So it has these qualities of bliss, has these qualities of ananda and chit, knowledge, and also of eternality, of sat. So in this material world, we're covered over, and our bliss and our knowledge are covered. But in moksha, those things are uncovered, and they're completely, unlimited. So if our knowledge is unlimited, we're able to know what's happening anywhere and everywhere in moksha. So they say this is one of the ways that they say that the Tenacharya Sampradaya says that Lakshmi can be everywhere by guna vyapti. So guna, one of the guna or qualities of a freed being is that they know everything that's going on everywhere. So if Lakshmi knows everything that's going on, so for instance, if Sita's in the Ashokavana in Sri Lanka, but she knows what's going on with Sriman Narayana in Rama in India. She knows that Vibhishana is there surrendering to him. So she's still able to be a mediator in that sense. So these are just two slightly different ways of looking at things, and looking at how, everybody admits that Shri is interceding. In which way she's interceding. Another point that he made was that the intercession of the acharyas and other Vaishnavas and acharyas also occurs. So what role does that play in the sense that we say Shri is a Purushakara, she is mediating between the souls and God. So all of the acharya, the guru, the other Vaishnavas, or whoever else is trying to intercede between you and God to help you on the path, that is coming from her. And it's only their relationship to her that allows them to have that quality. They don't naturally have that quality. The guru doesn't naturally have the quality of being a Purushakara, but he has it only because of his relationship to God through Lakshmi also. So he is getting that so she is the embodiment of that Purushakara, of that mediator, of that mercy, because she's the mother. So give it in the example of a family. You have a father, and the father is stern, and he's trying to discipline the children, and the mother is full of compassion. And sometimes you might have a brother or sister that's older than you, and they might also try to mediate, right? But their compassion is coming from the mother, is also coming from the mother's side. So that's like to make it in an analogous way for people to understand. So so there's a couple of different ways that she's always there. One I explained by guna vyapti, she's or if you're a Vadagalaya, you believe swarup vyapti, but by guna vyapti, she's everywhere, and she's therefore always with Sriman Narayana. And the other way is, even if she's not seen externally, through the acharya, through the guru, and through other Vaishnavas, other people who are trying to mediate between you and God, trying to help you, those persons who have already become prapanas or already surrendered to the Supreme, they have that relationship with not only Sriman Narayana as the means, but also with Lakshmi. They have that relationship, and therefore they can reflect, just as the moon reflects the sun. The moon doesn't have any light by itself, but it reflects the light of the sun. So Mother Lakshmi is the Purushakara, and the moon. So she's just like the moon that reflects the light of the sun. The Acharya is just like the moon that reflects the sun of Mahalakshmi. So in those two ways, Lakshmi is always there. So we can't talk about a property where Lakshmi doesn't play a role. There's always a Purushakara. There's always someone in between us and God, like that. Now, some people may say, okay, well, this is just God has his soft nature also. So somehow or other, these two roles are split apart in Sri Vaishnavism. We can argue about whether they need to be split apart, or whether you can have a father who's also compassionate. He's also stern, but he's also trying to be compassionate. Sometimes in a family, the mother also tries to discipline the children too. So I mean, the analogy breaks down at this point, so we don't need to go into it too much. But this is the way that it's categorized in Tengalai and Wadagalai Sri Vaishnavism. So we can just accept that the point is there has to be some sort of intercession. There has to be some factor. Let's put it that way. There has to be a factor that stops us from being treated just like any other samsara, any other person in samsara who is committing sins or even doing good deeds. We are getting the karmas from both of those, from good and bad deeds. So what is interceding? What is the factor that stops that? The factor is that we surrender to God and become prapanas. So by surrendering to God as prapanas, that brings this factor of intercession into play. So like that. So, whether we think of Lakshmi being there or the Acharya being there or whatever it is, there's a factor of intercession in there. So however we want to think of it, it plays a role. So I'm not sure if that totally answered what you had to say, but that's my take on it. Maybe I'm wrong. So I think that's being the important point here in the book is that he's just saying that there's these two factors here. There's the factor of the upaya, the means, which is the Lord, which is personified as the Lord, and then there's the factor of the intercession, the factor of bargaining between the Lord and the soul. So these two factors, and these two factors are embodied as Sriman Narayana and Mahalakshmi. So we go on to the next one.
ஆழ்வார் திருவடிகளே சரணம் எம்பெருமானார் திருவடிகளே சரணம் பிள்ளைலோகாச்சாரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம் ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். Srivachana Bhushanam, 8th Sutram. In the previous Sutram, we saw the three great qualities that Mahalakshmi, Pirati, Sri, that she has, as she is doing mediation on our behalf to Lord Sriman Narayana. Those three great qualities are Kripa, compassion, Paratantriyam, her complete dependence and complete regard and dedication for Lord Sriman Narayana, and Ananyarhatvam, the fact that she is beholden to nobody but Lord Sriman Narayana. These three qualities have been shown by Mahalakshmi in the Ramayana, in the Rama Avatara. When she took Avatara as Sita, she has displayed these qualities in key places in Ramayana. And that is what is explained to us by Pillai Lokacharya in this Sutram. பிராட்டி முற்பட பிரிந்தது தன்னுடைய கிருபையை வெளியிடுகைக்காக, நடுவில் பிரிந்தது பாரதந்திரியத்தை வெளியிடுகைக்காக, அனந்தரம் பிரிந்தது அனன்யார்ஹத்வத்தை வெளியிடுகைக்காக. So there are three separations in Ramayana. First time Sita separated from Rama when Ravana abducted her and then took her and kept her as a prisoner in Ashokavana. So that is the first separation. Murpada Pirindadu, that is the first separation. And Pillai Lokacharya says that first separation, Sita shows the quality of Kripa. The second separation happened, in this case Naduvil Pirindadu, in the middle of Ramayana, her separation happened when Rama and Sita had come back from Sri Lanka and they were ruling Ayodhya. Sita was pregnant with Lava and Kusha. At that time, Rama had sent her to live with the rishis, with Vashishta and other rishis on the banks of Ganga. We will see the details a little bit later. But that is the second separation. And this second separation, Pillai Lokacharya says, is to display the quality of Paratantriyam. He is to display her quality of being completely dependent upon, completely having regard for, and completely doing things for Rama. Anantaram Pirindadu, at the last time that the separation happened in Ramayana, Ananyarhatvattai Veliiduhaikkaha. The last separation happened to Sita displayed the quality of Ananyarhatvam. The third time the separation happened was when at the end of Ramayana, almost at the end of Ramayana, when Rama will conduct the Ashwamedha Yajna and Lava and Kusha will sing Ramayana, Valmiki will be there, and Sita will go into the earth. Bhumi Devi will take Sita and take her back into the earth. So that separation, Sita showed the quality of Ananyarhatvam. That is what Pillai Lokacharya says. Now let us see the details from the commentary of Manavala Mamunigar. So the first separation happened, as we know, when Ravana abducted Sita. We know that Sita is Mahalakshmi herself who took Avatara as Sita. And when they were in Dandakaranya, Ravana came and abducted her. Using that as an excuse, we saw in the previous sutra that she had a lot of compassion for the women, for the Rakshasa women who guarded her in Ashokavana, and she wanted to save them. So using the excuse of abduction by Ravana, she went to Ashokavana. Now in Ashokavana, many things happened. We know this as Hanuman came back from Sri Lanka and he narrated what happened to Rama. This is all before the war. Rama had sent Hanuman to Sri Lanka and then he did some things and then he came back and he told Rama what happened. He told many things, specific portions appropriate to this sutra we will see. Hanuman will say that Sita was present in the Ashokavana. Hanuman was sitting on top of a Simshupa tree, and then at that time Sita was alone under a tree, and a lot of Rakshasis were surrounding her. Trijata and others were surrounding her. At that time Ravana will come along with a few others, and then he will try to force Sita to trust him and to respect him. Sita will not have anything to do with that. She will say some harsh words to Ravana. She will tell Ravana that she is the wife of Rama and she is the daughter-in-law of Dasharatha, and she will not listen to him. And she will also say that, Ravana, you are not equal to Rama. You are not even fit to be a servant of Rama. Words like that she will say. Ravana will become very angry and then he will almost try to hit Sita with his right hand. But he will be stopped by the Rakshasis surrounding Sita, and Mandodari, Ravana's wife, also will be there. She will say some nice words to him and then they will all take Ravana back into the palace. So after Ravana went, Trijata and other people who are guarding, other Rakshasis who are guarding Sita, they will say some really harsh words to try to convince her to listen to Ravana. But Sita would not be moved. She treated their words like a piece of grass, like Trina, like a piece of grass. She treated their words and she won't listen. They will go back to Ravana and say that she's not listening to us. They will come back and then they will sleep. Suddenly, Trijata, their leader of those people who are guarding Sita, she will wake up. She had a dream. I should say she had a nightmare. She had seen some things in her dream that were bad for her. She will lament. She will say that I saw in my dream that her husband, Sita's husband, came. He destroyed all the Rakshasas. He even won over Ravana. If we want to have any hope of saving the Rakshasas from destruction, we should surrender to Sita and ask her forgiveness and beg for her forgiveness, and then maybe we can all save the Rakshasa community from destruction. When Sita heard this, that Trijata had this nightmare or dream, depending on how you look at it, that Rama will win, that Ravana will be defeated, Trijata is very worried for her life, because if that happens, she is worried that all the Rakshasas and her and others will also be destroyed. Sita will use these following words. Beautifully she will say, Bhaveyam Sharanam Hivaha. She will say, if that happens, don't worry, I will save all of you, for sure. Imagine this. Just a few moments back, Trijata and all the other Rakshasis were trying to force Sita through the use of harsh words and to try to make her afraid to listen to what Ravana is saying. And Ravana had just come and threatened her and went. Even at that time, when these Rakshasis, particularly Trijata, was worried because of the fear of what she saw in her nightmare, Sita had compassion towards them. She wanted to save them. She says, I will save you, do not worry. Now these are words, right, where she gave a promise that she will save. After Ravana was defeated, that comes into action. After Ravana was defeated, Hanuman will come and he will ask permission from Sita to give punishment to all the Rakshasis, including Trijata, who had done all kinds of bad things while guarding Sita. They said harsh words to her and so on. But even then, Sita at that point in time, she will argue with Hanuman. She will say, these people, after all, were servants of the king. They were beholden to the king. They had no other choice than to obey him. You should not want to punish them. She will argue with him. And then she will also say a beautiful word that she will say, Karyam karunamaryena na kaschid na paradhyati. She will say, look, these people deserve your karunyam, deserve your compassion. After all, there is nobody in this universe who has not committed any sin. So you should not punish them. On the other hand, these people deserve your compassion. So she put into action the promise that she gave to save them. This shows the compassion that Sita had, and that quality of compassion even under trying circumstances. And Pillai Lokacharya says the first separation, that of separating from Rama, was to show this quality of compassion so that she can go and save all these Rakshasis who were guarding her in Ashokavana. Now the second separation. The second separation happened when Pattabhishekam was over after the return from Sri Lanka. Sita and Rama were ruling Ayodhya along with Bharata and Shatrughna and Lakshmana and others. Sita was pregnant with Lava and Kusha. So at that time, Rama would ask Sita, what would you like? Is there anything that you would like? And Sita would express a desire. She will say, I would like to live at least for a day among the great rishis who are living in the hermitages, in the Tapovana, on the banks of Ganga. These rishis are pure because they eat fruits and only whatever root vegetables are available at that point in time. I would like to live among these pure souls and then at least do some service to them, at least for one day, she will say. Rama will keep that in mind. In the olden days, a custom used to be that there used to be court jesters. People who came, they told stories and then they made the king and the ministers and everyone in the court enjoy and laugh. They also had another purpose. That was a way for the king to know what was happening in the kingdom through them. Because while they are performing, the king could ask them some questions and then they can get some direct answers rather than through their ministers or through their soldiers or somebody. Rama will ask one of them, what is the mood of the people? What are people talking about now that Rama is king? They will say many positive things. They will say that people are very appreciative and proud of your bravery that you went to Sri Lanka and defeated Ravana and things like that. Rama will say, that's okay. You should also tell what are the wrong things or what are the negative things they are saying so that I can understand and I can correct them. So one of them hesitatingly will say, since you are asking, with your permission, I will tell you, Rama, I heard one person say, Sita was in the control of Ravana in Ashokavana for many months. After the war, Rama brought her back, gave her the great position of the queen of Ayodhya, and he is living with her and with as if nothing happened. How do we know if Sita is pure? Now this was a shock to Rama. Now as you remember, most of us know that as soon as the war was over, in Lanka itself, Rama would ask Sita to undergo Agni Pariksha, a fire pariksha, a test of fire, so that he can tell others that she was pure. And Sita did that. Rama knew she was pure, but wanted this so that everyone will accept. And Rama lamented, I did that, but even now people are talking. If people are talking this way and people think that the king himself is not following a proper morals, then the country itself will start deteriorating. So I have no other choice. Even though I know she is pure, even though I know there is not even a small blemish on her, because people are saying this, I need to do something about this. And then with great sorrow, he will ask Lakshmana, he will summon Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna, and then he will tell this, and then he will ask Lakshmana to take her to the banks of Ganga, cross Ganga, and leave her among the rishis. And he will tell Lakshmana to use the excuse that Sita had told Rama, the desire of Sita, to live among the rishis for some time. So the next day, Lakshmana will go to Sita, and then she will say, Rama has asked me to take you, as you desired, to the rishis' hermitages on the banks of Ganga. So let us go. Sita will go with Lakshmana. While they were leaving Ayodhya, a lot of bad omens will take place. Sita will observe the bad omens, and then she will say, Oh Lakshmana, all these bad omens are happening. I hope nothing bad comes upon Rama. And Lakshmana, even though he knows what is happening, he will say something along the lines of, let good things happen, like that. And then he will take her to Ganga, and then he will cross the Ganga on a boat, just he and Sita alone. He will leave her on the other banks of Ganga. Now Lakshmana, he could not control his sadness. Sita will understand that something is odd there. And Lakshmana had no other choice than to tell her the truth, that said, Rama asked me to bring you here and leave you because of some people talking about you. At that time, Sita, as we saw, was pregnant with Lava and Kusha. She will become very, very sad, extremely sad. And then she will say many things, and one of the key things that she says is this: Na khalvadhyaiva saumitre jivitam jhannavi jale tyajeyam raghavam vamshe barthurma parihasyati. She will say, Oh Lakshmana, I would want to go into the Ganga, Jhannavi jale, into the Ganga and drown myself. But I am carrying the offspring, I am carrying the sons of the Raghuvamsha, of Raghava, of Rama. So I am not doing that, and I will bear with this and I will stay, is what she is saying. So even at that time, when she was sent because of this reason, when she was overcome with sorrow, even at that time, even when she wanted to leave, when it appeared to her that she could leave the body, she could leave the earth, she was thinking about Rama, because it was Rama's offsprings that were there, and she did not want anything bad to happen to Rama. That is Paratantriyam. Always thinking about the person that you are beholden to and wanting good things to happen to them. Completely dependent on Rama and not doing anything that will bring even a little bit of badness to Rama. So this is the second instance. And in fact, Manavala Mamunihal beautifully says, for somebody who is living for the sake of others, even if they want to take their life away, they cannot take their life away because they are thinking about the other person all the time. Sita, of course, lived for Rama all the time, isn't it? That is the second instance. The third instance is towards the end of Ramayana, when Rama does the Ashwamedha Yajna. Sita, of course, was living in the forest. Lava and Kusha were small sons. They will come and sing in the Ashwamedha Yajna festivities. Valmiki was there. Rama would enjoy the singing, would enjoy the history. And then he comes to know that these two people are none other than his sons, and Sita was there. So he will send a message to Sita through somebody saying that if she would desire, she can come in the sabha, in the gathering, and she can do a pratigna, she can do a vow that she is pure, and then he will take her back. Even though he knows that she is pure, he wanted this to happen so that others can accept. Valmiki will say a lot about how Sita is pure. He will say that lies don't come out of my mouth. I say only the truth. There is no doubt that Sita is pure. All those things he will say. And then Sita will come and then she will say, yes, I will take the pratignya. And then she will come the next day. And then she will take the pratignya. So very beautiful explanation is given by Valmiki here. Yataham ragavadhanyam manasapi na chintaye tatha me madhavi devi vivaram dhatu marhati. Like that a few shlokas are there. She says very, very emotionally and very openly, she says, just like how I have not even thought of anyone other than Rama, any man other than Rama, even for a moment with my mind, if what I am saying is true, O Bhumi Devi, please give me place in you. Similarly, she says, if it is true that I know of no one other than Rama, O Bhumi Devi, please give me some space. If I have, just like how through my mind, through my words and through my deeds, I thought only of Rama, I spoke only of Rama, and I did service only to Rama. If that is true, O Bhumi Devi, let her give me some space. She will say that. As soon as she will say, make this pratignya or this vow, a magical thing happened. The earth will split and a beautiful throne, golden throne, Simhasana will come. Bhumi Devi will be on the throne. She will take Sita and she will make Sita sit on the throne. And then all the devas and everybody will be there with lot of flowers that they will put on her. Sita Devi will go into the earth. That is what happened. That is history in Ramayana. Now this is the third separation. Now this third separation, it is clear through the vow, the pratignya that Sita is doing, that she was beholden to nobody other than Rama. She said, if this is true, then the earth should take me. And the earth took her. That is the third separation. That is to show the quality of Ananyarhatvam. The middle separation was to show the quality of Paratantriyam. And the first separation was to show the quality of compassion. This is what Pillai Lokacharya shows us in this sutram. Now, one thing as we are listening to this history should keep in mind is this. It is very, very difficult to understand why Rama did this. He knew that Sita was pure. He had absolutely no doubt. But he had his own reasons as to why he put her through these tests. It is said, some great people who enjoyed Ramayana have said that the only person who understood Rama fully was Sita. Rama is the Vigraha of Dharma. He is the living and breathing form of Dharma. So he cannot do anything wrong. He would not have done anything wrong. We don't understand what he did. Sita understood him perfectly. And through these, we understand this. Sita, through her compassion, through her Paratantriyam, and through her Ananyarhatvam, even during trying circumstances when we look at it, looks like how trying these circumstances are, she believed completely in what Rama did. And she displayed these qualities. And this is what Pillai Lokacharya shows us in this sutra, so that we all can have confidence that Mahalakshmi, Tayar, does the mediation on our behalf, and we can surrender to Lord Sriman Narayana. Now we will see more in the next sutram. Alvar Embrumanar Jiyar Tiruvadigalé Sharanam.
வாழி உலகாசிரியன் வாழியவன் மன்னுகுலம் வாழி முடும்ப என்னும் மாநகரம் வாழி மனம் சூழ்ந்த பேரின்ப மல்கு மிகு நல்லார் இனம் சூழ்ந்திருக்கும் இருப்பு வாழி திருவாய் மொழிப்பிள்ளை மாதகவால் வாழும் மணவாள மாமுனிவன் வாழியவன் மாறன் திருவாய் மொழிப்பொருளை மாநிலத்தோர் தேரும்படி உரைக்கும் சீர் செய்ய தாமரைத்தாளின வாழியே சேலை வாழி திருநாபி வாழியே துய்ய மார்பும் புரிநூலும் வாழியே சுந்தரத் திருத்தோளினை வாழியே கையுமேந்திய முக்கோலும் வாழியே கருண பொங்கிய கண்ணின வாழியே பொய்யிலாத மணவாள மாமுனி புந்தி வாழி புகழ் வாழி வாழியே அடியாறுகள் வாழ அரங்கநகர் வாழ சடகோபன் தண்டமிழ் நூல் வாழ கடல் சூழ்ந்த மண்ணுலகம் வாழ மணவாள மாமுனியே இன்னுமொரு நூத்தாண்டிரும் ஸ்ரீமதே ரம்யஜா மாத்ரு முனீந்திராய மகாத்மனே ஸ்ரீரங்கவாசினே பூயாத் நித்யஸ்ரீர் நித்யமங்களம்.